You have to know. So Jordan is somebody I met, what is today? April 29th? I met a year and 15 days ago. I was just actually looking through my Instagram stories at FitCon in 2019. She was there, a part of an interview that I was doing, and I had no clue that day, just the person I was in the presence of. She's so incredible. As I followed her and really watched her, I realized, Jordan, you're watching this right now. You and I have so much in common. She's being brought onto screen right now too, and I'm going to proceed with the interview when she pops on. But I watch her stories, and sometimes I'm like, is she pulling these thoughts directly out of my brain? I'm so excited to have her on. She's the queen of productivity and balance, much more so than I am, and just a massive inspiration to all. Obviously, you know, because I said in my story, she has 8 kids. And after going through some tough financial times, Jordan got out of debt in record time and now shows that it's possible to live a millionaire lifestyle because of a conservative budget, not in spite of it. Jordan's innovative money management, organization, productivity, and family system principles have completely reshaped the lives of hundreds of thousands of individuals and families all over the globe. She's the master of all things productivity. You're looking at her right now. She's Rachel Ray, Today Show TLC. Jordan, you're a big deal. And also, guys, she's an amazing businesswoman. She has budget boot camp, productivity boot camp, shelf cooking, and you do all this with 4 boys and 4 girls and a husband. It's just insane. It's so crazy.
It's crazy. I'm blushing. This is so awkward, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Don't judge me by my quarantine nails, okay? So we win at some parts of life and we fail at others. So just, you know.
You can't have it all, but you do have earrings in. And you look, Jordan and I did a little test broadcast real fast. And she popped on screen and I'm like, you have twice as many kids as I have. And you're twice as put together as I am this morning.
Oh my gosh, hardly. You stop it. You know what? For what it's worth, I thought 1 kid was the hardest. So anyone who even has like 1 kid and has survived, slow clap. It's tough. It's tough.
I am right there with you. I love it. Now I love, you have this thing called, guys, if you don't follow her, you'll have to go look. She has this really cool thing. She does page dance party on Instagram where everybody's just letting loose and having fun. I mean, and by the way, I think everybody needs to know her 2 youngest. So she has 8 kids. Her 2 youngest are 8-week-old. Are they 8 weeks?
Let's not rush it, Heidi. Okay. I think they're 7. They're 7.5 weeks.
7 weeks and 5 days or something. Twins. She has twins, guys. So it's really,
they're so cute.
I really don't know how you balance it all. You're active in your church. You're very active with your family and your community. And I love what you said about being a mom. I pulled the quote. You said, I feel that
I want to hear this.
Yeah, I know. We should make an Insta meme and credit you. I know. So Jordan she said, I feel that in a world where children are oftentimes viewed as a burden that slows down or hinders us from bigger things, I find no greater joy than being a mom and raising these precious little people to be the best big people ever, and find no job in the whole world as important. And I love that because, in fact, I do have a friend that doesn't have any kids. And I was talking to this person recently, and they had said, I don't think I could ever have kids because I can't give up time away from what I'm doing and what I'm accomplishing. And to that, I had said, well, what are you doing it for? You know, because once you're there, what are you doing? And no, if whether someone has kids or not, it's like the idea that kids pull time away from you, to me, it's the opposite. Yeah, they pull time, but they also give me so much time, give me purpose. So I love that you had said that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it was a big mindset shift for me. One time, someone who has a show on TLC or had a show on TLC and a bunch of kids, the show asked like, oh, you know, is it hard when your kids distract you from finishing your book? And she looked at the camera and she was like, oh, my book is the distraction pulling me from my kids. And it literally was like a slap in the face moment where I'm like, yeah, like what purpose is a book if not to like have the family legacy involved in? Anyway, I agree. It takes a mindset shift, but
I got chills as soon as you said that because it is true. It is very true. Now, a couple fun facts about you, and I was only going to pick a couple to read, but
I'm worried about these. I got some random stuff, Heidi. I got some random.
And the first one's amazing random. But what I love about it is you and I are the same person. I decided you have twice as many kids and you're brunette.
You have like 6 more abs than I do, but I'm working on it.
I don't know about that. Okay, so you say, I refuse to drink the last half inch of water. I love this because I do the same.
Who does that? It's all backwash and goobers. Like,
amen. And that's exactly what I say. I won't, especially with all the kids. You learn, like usually with the first sip, there's floaties, but they kind of disintegrate into the bottle. So but the bottom half is pure like sludge.
But even if, and my husband says this, he's like, Jordan, no one has touched your drink. And I'm like, I don't care. Anyway, I can't do it. I can't do it. In fact, it's so funny. Have you seen, what is it called? Signs, the little girl Bo that just like leaves cups of water all over the house. It is literally me. I just have like cups all over because once the water gets tepid or if I feel like there's floaties in it, it's dead to me.
Yes. So you are actually very similar to me. You're more so than me, which was my mom growing up. She would have she was a big Diet Coke drinker and she would crack like 10 cans and drink that much from each of them because she's like, I don't know who touched it and I'm not drinking it. Mom, but you made us. Like it was very like.
That's awesome.
So another thing I love about you is you say, I rarely get embarrassed or offended. And I love that. You said, I have darn thick skin. But if anybody talks about Bubba or your kids, I will cut you.
Oh, I had forgotten I had said that. And I was going to say, well, the one hot button I have is don't talk about my husband or my kids because they're awesome. And they're perfect, okay?
They are. Yeah, no. And then another one.
I'm the only one who can complain about them. If somebody else complains about them, like I'll break your elbow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like let me vent to you. Just don't agree with me. You know, like just let me get it out. Yeah. Totally. Also, you grew up the only girl, which I grew up the only girl in the family. And you said, I'm telling you, when I read that, I'm like, okay, there is some, because you said I have a hard time relating to women, right? What'd you say? Yeah, hard time understanding women as a result, not relating, understanding women. Yeah. And I feel you there. Like it's taken time because I was raised like a boy, you know?
It's true. And it's funny because especially having twins, like a boy-girl twin, that we're literally born at the same time under every circumstance. It just goes to show that you're born the way you're born, right? And but gender does kind of play a role in that. I won't get into that, but I can see it. But I do feel like it was shocking to me when I went to college and had all-girl roommates. And I'm like, why are we like not saying what we actually feel? Like it was so weird. I'm like, why are we, I don't know. It was all these little nuances or like, why do you stand in front of the mirror and say you look fat? Like you're obviously not fat. Or like, if you're fat, then go work out. Like, I don't know. I didn't understand it. I was like, what is happening? Anyway, I have softened and I have lots of girlfriends and it's great, but I am definitely the one in the group that's like, you know, you're being dramatic right now, right?
I completely get it. And actually, I remember growing up and I was so glad I didn't have sisters because I had a ton of friends that had sisters and they were always fighting and talking about or stealing my clothes and my boy and all this stuff where I'm like, I would be like, I'm so glad I never had a sister. Like I have 3 brothers that love me no matter what. But now as the mom of 2 girls, I see their sister bond.
Yes.
And Ruby now, my little 6-year-old will say, Mom, I am so sad for you that you didn't have a sister. Like that's really sad. And it's just because there is a bond between girls. And I bet you see that before.
I honestly, I had like a mom moment the other day. My 3 big girls, not the newborn, they were all on a hammock together and they were just like giggling and laughing. And then my oldest daughter was like braiding the other one's hair. And I kind of had this moment of like, the greatest gift I think I'll ever give my kids is each other. Like not even me and Bubba, you know, because at some point we will be unavailable to them, but like, and we can't relate to them because we're just a different generation and I'm in charge of them. But I'm so glad they have each other. And it made me want a sister of my own, but I have sister-in-laws and they're great.
And you got friends. You got friends, you know.
Yes.
Another little
disappeared from my screen.
What was that?
Can you still see me okay? You disappeared from my screen. Maybe it's my connection.
Derek can
so I can't see you, but I can hear Smoking Hot voice. So
Okay, so Derek says he can see that us both. Guys, comment and let us know if you. I can see you. Are you okay just looking at yourself?
Well, yeah. No,
Okay.
no, it's fine. I can see your cute little. I don't know what happened, but anyway, it's okay. Maybe it's my connection. I can hear you great though.
Okay. Cool. I will. So another fun fact that I hear from you is that you are strangely good at pole dancing.
Oh, where did you get these from? Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
My ways. I mean, 8 babies, a husband.
Hold on. Okay. It certainly is not sexy. I have great admiration for pole dancers. Let me tell you what, we did a fitness class. Some girls and I bought like a Groupon or something a couple years ago. And we went and did it. And first of all, it was the best upper body workout I've ever had in my life. And second of all, there's nothing sexy about it because you have to hold yourself up the whole time. And we were just like,
yes,
sliding down the pole.
Yeah, it's like, and the leg squeeze, like if you like, they do the things where they go upside down.
Yes.
You have to your inner thighs. And I did it once for a YouTube video, and I was getting major like quad cramps.
It's rough. It's rough for sure. So strangely good at, meaning maybe I like splattered less than the people in my same class, but we'll claim it.
Okay, good. Also, just a few other fun facts about you that I love. I can relate to. You say, I don't take Pinterest perfect pictures. I don't have a crafty bone in my body. I don't like or even love cooking, but I do it for the love of my family. I keep it down home, backwoods, take it or leave it, realsies. And honestly, Jordan, I read that and I'm like, we are going to get along just fine today and forever. You are freaking amazing.
Thank you. Well, and Heidi, I'm bonded to you also because the day that we met at FitCon, I will have you know I will never forget that day. Not only because you taught me how to pose with a booty pop, and I realized I need to work on my booty pop, but second to that, a booth just down the way of yours, I had the experience of having my nose hairs waxed, and I will never forget that. And so it was a day that will live in history that I will never forget.
I had my nose hairs waxed at the same booth, and I even drug my coaches over there. All of these male coaches, I'm like, we're all waxing our nose, like nose wax. And some of the stuff that I saw come out of my we are forever
like burned a little. Yeah,
for sure. It was bad. I'm not going to name names, but if anyone watches this,
I'm crying.
You had really hairy nostrils.
Well, maybe on our annual anniversary of the day that we met, we'll wax our nose hairs together.
We need to. So it was like April 15th. So
done.
Unfortunately, they were closed on April 15th. My nose hairs are getting a little. Do you still go get them waxed?
Oh no! It was not that bad, but no, Heidi, no, I do not get my nose hairs waxed. I mean, baby steps. Come on, priority.
Hold on. You gotta hold the back up. I'm getting a picture right now.
Be sure to get the.
Okay, hold on. Let me get mine up. We're both showing.
I don't even know how to pull these stupid gel things off. Anyway, here in Utah, they're lightening up soon. Oh, mine too? Oh,
okay.
I'm sorry.
2. Okay, there we go.
Love it. Oh, good.
Okay, so we're going to get to the real meat of today. You're just too much fun to talk to. I could go on that stuff forever and ever and ever. So people might know you as the fun, cheap, and free queen, which I think is so awesome. Now, on your blog, you talk about what started out as like this dinky blog to post random coupons and deals that you would find turned into what is called the new Frugal Revolution. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, how did you get to there from where you were?
Yeah.
I should say, how did you get from where you were to where you are now?
Okay. I will do the Cliff Notes version because everyone has a saga, right? And I
want you to make sure it's like you paid off and you became a millionaire. You paid off your debt. I want to make sure we hear about that.
Sure. Yeah. So it started. So I was born on a dark and stormy. No, I won't go back that far. But my husband and I, we got married. We actually had our 13-year anniversary yesterday.
Woo, happy anniversary!
It's a big one. 13. So we got married, and actually we were a perfect match for each other. And his name is Bubba. You'll hear me refer to Bubba. It's not like a sexy pet name. It's like his name, which is so rare. I know people are always kind of like, awkward.
What's up?
Yeah, that's his name. And we dated and got married, and we were a perfect match right away because we were both pretty frugal because we had to pay for a lot ourselves. And but we had a rude awakening when and when I say frugal, my understanding of frugal back then was like using a coupon to buy some shoes, or like shopping from the sale rack instead of the full price rack, or we go to a restaurant and I have like a free chips and queso coupon thing. Like that to me was frugal, which it is in part. But we had a rude awakening when he started a business. And so we went from 2 incomes to 1, which I'm sure a lot of people are feeling that right now, especially, the abruptness of it all with this COVID epidemic and the economy. But so we went from 2 to 1, and it kind of like shook us because I was like, wait, but I used a coupon on those shoes. Like, why? What's going on? And then I got pregnant shortly after, and I kind of supported us with my little dinky job for a year until I had the baby. And then we kind of went from like 1 income to kind of no income because self-employed, it's just really up and down. It's really inconsistent. And we've been self-employed ever since. So anyone who is self-employed knows, or even has a variable income like commission-based or tip-based or seasonal income, it's hard, right? So Absolutely. We ended up needing credit cards to swing us some months. And I swear in 2 seconds, we had, it was about $15,000 on credit cards between a couple of cards. And then we had this car that we bought, of course, when we got married, because you get married, you buy a house, you buy a car, and suddenly couldn't afford that, but we couldn't get out of it. And it was just really shocking. And I thought, you know what, this must just be how it works, because if anyone in the world, like, we're really good, we're really frugal. How, if we can't do this, nobody can, and I kind of had this defeated attitude of like, wow, I guess everybody's just in debt, and I guess you just have to live off of credit cards. But then I realized, I'm like, no, that can't be the way. Went online, tried to find advice. Well, first of all, my friends were no help because no one wants to talk about money. They certainly want to talk about like what their struggles are with money.
Yeah.
They were no help, especially back then, which was like 2008, 9, 10, 11, kind of that really fun era. You remember that? 2008?
Oh, yeah.
Good times. So I went online and I was finding finance experts, but they were like experts, and they were telling me to pay cash for my car and what 401ks to invest in. And they were just, it was like, you
couldn't even follow up.
Teacher, it did not relate to me. I didn't understand. I'm not good at math. I don't enjoy finance. We didn't even pay cash for a car. Like I can hardly get groceries without knowing if I did the right thing or not. So stubbornly, I was like, screw it. I'm just going to figure it out myself. And so it took some trial and error, but I did it my way, which was like, I had to put a fun spin on everything, because if it's not fun, I'm just not interested. Totally. Also, I had to stop thinking about money. You'll appreciate this. I had to stop thinking about it like money, because money and I did not have a great relationship. I didn't understand it. It was daunting. It was annoying. It was intimidating, whatever, frustrating. So I had to think of it more like a diet, because I felt like that was something, not that I'm great at dieting, but I like understood the concept of counting calories, or if you eat more than you burn, then you gain weight. If you spend more than you make, you get in debt. And I like had to change my whole mindset and not think about money like money, but think about it like other things. And it worked. And it worked really fast. So it was about 13 months, and we paid off all the debt, got out of our car, $15,000 of credit cards gone. And we were only making about $31,000 at that time. So it was like fast. And it was fun. Like, obviously we had to sacrifice, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. And then the next year we built up our savings, and the next year, and it just progressed from there. And I also realized that I needed to create, instead of like, this is how much I should spend on clothes, this is how much I should spend on groceries, I had to think of it more of like a percentage or a principle, so that whether we're in feast or famine, it still works. So anyway, so that's what we did, and it worked. And I shared it on a blog, and then started doing national TV segments and conferences. And now I moved those conferences from in-person to online, and I have digital conferences, and it just kind of grew. And as my family grew, I started talking a lot more about how as important it is to manage your budget and money. It's equally as important to manage your time and your energy at home. It all is a unit, happy family unit. And here we are.
I love that. And you actually just said something that goes right into like one of the big things that I want to talk about. Obviously, productivity is a really important thing. But first of all, what you just said is super inspiring for people, especially now in this time where, you know, you acknowledged it. A lot of people are losing jobs. Many people are losing their jobs, and many people are not only existing now on one income, but zero for a lot of people. And so really understanding budgeting and how to kind of forward think and set up something that it's like, you want to make sure you take this time now and listen to everyone listening here. I want you guys to listen to Jordan and take this time now in quarantine where we might not have our jobs and our lives set up, and make sure that when we go back to normal looks different than it did before, because that way of thinking before put us in this bind that many of us are in now, because many people don't have savings. They are in debt and they're unable to pay. So, which kind of leads to productivity.
Yes, it does. It really does. They go hand in hand a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, we will go into productivity. You have some amazing ideas for helping with productivity that you share. And before, I want to talk about a few of those ideas and how they can help families and or us personally. Like you have these things like timers, zones, clipboards, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit of, and I think some of what I printed, you can't see it if you can't see me, but I don't know enough about these, and I want you to explain it. So like you have timers, you have a whole blog post on using a timer, and you've posted it quite a bit on social media. So how do you use timers for both yourself and your family? Why is it important?
Sure. Okay. And then just, for anyone who does want a little bit more nitty-gritty help on budgeting, I do have a budget program. It's budgetbootcamp.com, and you can use the code LIVE15 for 15% off. Also, just go find me on social media. I'll answer your questions on there. But yes, productivity. So I guess backing up, I think that whether you work full-time, whether you're at home full-time, whether you've got kids at home, whether your kids are grown, whether you're single or married, we all have the same amount of time in our day. We all have 24 hours. Yeah. And that's different than budgeting, because budgeting, we all have different incomes. We all have a different amount of money that we can play with, but we are all equal when it comes to productivity, because we all have the exact same amount of minutes, seconds, and hours in a day. So what it comes down to is choice and how we spend that time. And sometimes things are thrust upon us. Like if you break a leg, you obviously need to take that time to go fix that leg. And maybe you feel like that's taken from you or whatever. But the reality is we all have the same amount of time. And so the concept of productivity for me is not getting more done, doing more, filling more of your time, more, but it's more of being like intentional about your minutes, not your hours, like your minutes. Because I don't know about you, if I need to clean my closet, which I do, there's a reason that my camera is tilted up. Let's just say I want to show you my floor. Hashtag quarantine. Everything's messy.
Yes, I know. We have an excuse right now.
Yes. But if I need to clean my closet, I'm not going to be able to find like a magical uninterrupted 6 hours to completely overhaul. It's very rare. So the reality is like, you got to focus on your minutes and making those minutes count. And maybe I take 3 minutes while I'm brushing my teeth. And if every single night I took 3 minutes and just picked up a couple things, my closet would be clean way faster than if I waited till I had a big 6 hour chunk or whatever. So the concept of like a timer or clipboards, a block schedule, or any of the stuff I'm going to talk about, it's really training you to find those little minutes. So a timer is one of those concepts that works, because if you give me an hour and a half to clean my kitchen, I'm going to take an hour and a half. Yeah. Or if you give me 15 minutes, I could probably get it done in 15 minutes. And it's not, and maybe one is done better than the other, but usually when you give yourself a huge window of time, you just move slower and you get distracted more. Or instead of cleaning the whole kitchen, you'll like find a spot on your glass cooktop, and then you'll start scraping it, and then you like go searching for cleaning stuff, and then you realize where the cleaning stuff is disorganized, and then you start reading things, and you're Googling stuff, and you give a mouse a cookie, and next thing you know, you're in Disneyland, and you're like, how did I get here? You know, so you set a timer for anything. This could be for cleaning, this exercising. If you're like, go exercise today, then you'll just procrastinate forever. But if you're like, I have 15 minutes to hit it as hard as I can in 15 minutes, cooking, whatever it is, give yourself a very small window of time and just do as much as you can. And then you're not burnt out. You're motivated. You're working fast. You can turn up the dance party. Started when we started setting timers for chores. If we just say, all right, clean up dinner, everybody, then whatever. But if you turn on like Rock Me Like a Hurricane, you know, an 80s rock, whatever, and a disco ball, which we have in our kitchen, suddenly everyone's dancing and moving and working fast. So timers are important. I recommend never setting a timer for longer than like 15, maybe 20 minutes. If you have a big project, then break it down and do like, okay, I'm going to do 5 minutes here, 5 minutes here. And next thing you know, the hour is done, but break it small.
I love that. And I find for me, when I set a time limit on my workouts and say I only have 15 minutes or 20 minutes, I'm much more likely to make the most of those 15 minutes. And so my 15-minute workout is usually a lot better than my hour and a half workout. It's just the way that it is. I can hit more body parts in an hour, but my intensity, because there's no limit on it, is much lower. And I leave like thinking, okay, what did I even do? Like my muscles don't feel it. We're in 15 minutes. I'm like dying. So I actually really love that concept. And I love, for me and a lot of the people that we work with, the idea of something so big, like maybe spring cleaning your house or cleaning out the entire closet, is so overwhelming, or losing 100 pounds, right? It's so overwhelming that it never even happens. You keep putting it off. Or if you just say, hey, all I need to lose are 5 pounds, or all I need to do is 5 minutes in my closet today. It makes it those bite-sized chunks, and it's attainable and doable. And you know, before too long, the complete task is done. And I love it. I think that's wonderful. Now, how does that relate to block schedules?
You're talking dirty to me now. I love talking about a block schedule. It's the best. Okay. So a few years ago, I noticed, what? White? Oh, beautiful.
Look at this.
A few years ago, I started noticing more and more questions. I mean, for a long time, it was all like frugal living, budgeting, all this stuff. But as Instagram started growing and I started showing sneak peeks of my life, and then Instagram stories like came to be, you know, and then it was a really fun, easy way to show behind the scenes of my life. I started getting an influx of questions about like, well, how do you find time to exercise? Or how do you find time to go on a date with your husband? I don't have time to, or like, how do you manage a couple businesses and like 1 million kids, you know, and all this stuff. And I kind of brushed off the questions for a while and was like, you should see my closet. It's a mess. And then I was like, no, I need to listen to these because I know how this feels. They're looking for someone they can relate to. They're looking for some help. And I thought to myself, like, I don't know, I'm no expert. I'm like, that's exactly why I should speak up, because I was looking for help and the experts didn't help Jordan. Yes. And so I needed a friend. And so I spent the time and really analyzed what I was doing and realized, like, you know what I'm doing is I'm following the same block schedule that I had in high school. Like we had a block schedule in high school and I started, and so I kind of put a name to it and did it, you know, I added it into my productivity program, productivity boot camp. And then I did a YouTube video about it, just trying to explain it better than I could on social media through text. And it exploded. And I realize now that I'm like, oh, it doesn't just work for me, it works for everybody. And it's so simple. So, and I can't even take credit for it because I don't know that I like invented the concept, obviously, but I think in terms of productivity, I'm going to connect the two. And what it is, I have an example here with my productivity planner. But just like Heidi was showing, instead of thinking of your day hour by hour or minute by minute and following your day based on like time.
Yes.
You should base your day based on like, think of it like a, what is the word I'm looking for? A subject.
Got it. In school.
So in math class, I wasn't so much concerned about how many minutes math class was. I was more concerned about what we were doing during math class, which was math. If I was practicing soccer or looking at my science book, then it wouldn't be helping me in that math class. And when the bell rings and math is done, I put my book away, I turn off my math brain, and I move on. Even if I'm in the middle of a problem, it's just math is done. I'll get to it tomorrow or the next time I have math class, or I'll schedule time for it at night, whatever. And so I do that with productivity, and it's worked for hundreds of thousands of people. So for example, I have a morning block, and I recommend your blocks be, the sweet spot is like 3 hours. Every block is 3 hours, but I would never go less than 2 or more than 4. So between 2 and 4 hours. So my morning block is a 3-hour block of time from when I wake up until 3 hours later, which is usually like 6:30 to 9:30. And in that block, I literally, so I write, the time would be, in fact, I'll show you an example, 6:30 to 9:30, whatever. And in that block, I literally write down everything that I need to get done in that block of time. I was going to try to find a good example that isn't like chicken scratched out. Oh, it feels so good to cross stuff off.
Doesn't it? I'm a list maker.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. In fact, I have about 6 Post-its right now all over my house with random lists.
Here's an example that I have printed up here. But so, and is it backwards? It's probably backwards for everybody. But anyway, 6:30.
No, I can see it.
And my class or my block is called morning. And in that block, here's just like an example list. Like I need to get ready for the day. I need to make my bed. Maybe I'm rotating a load of laundry or whatever it is. But you take the things on your to-do list and you plug them into the block that's most appropriate. So after my morning block, then it's like maybe it's an outing block where that's where I go to the gym, or maybe that's where I run and get my groceries. Maybe that's where I go on a walk or do a play date with my kids. But then my next block, when my baby's napping, that's when I work. Makes the most sense. The baby's down, so my kids get free time or whatever, or I have a babysitter come over. So I have all these different blocks all day long, like a dinner time, get ready for bed block. I have a block at night for me and Bubba to and then when stuff comes up, if a friend calls and she's like, hey, do you want to get together? Then instead of being like, sure, what time? Because that can derail your whole day. I would say, what can you meet between 9 and noon and plug it in? If I need to get something done on my computer, like ping bills, then I find a block where I'm home and I'm on my computer. Anyway, that would be in my work block. So that being said, that's how you find time for free time.
Got it. So if you don't get to it, go to the next block.
No, it's like math class. If you don't finish your math problems in math class, you don't work on them in science, because then science isn't getting the attention it deserves. You just either slough it off and you're like, well, it wasn't that important anyway. I'll do that another time. Or you move it to the next day's block, or you can try to squeeze it in a different block, but otherwise you're just constantly shoving things down. At the end of your day, you have this huge to-do list. But anyway, I have videos on this. I've so many examples for those who are having trouble or want more help with it, and a free printable. This is a planner that I make, and unfortunately because of the COVID situation, we're out of stock on these, but I do have a PDF version. Anyway, if you go to my Instagram page, I put all that stuff in my profile link.
I want one of those planners right there. Dang it. I was going to ask if I could order one, but sounds like they're out of stock, huh?
I'll see what I can find. Maybe I have an extra line around for you, Heidi.
It's amazing. It is so cool. Like I definitely need that, because like I was saying, I have Post-its all over the place. And I also have an issue with scheduling out my day, so much so. And I mean, Derek is around me a lot. It's like I have call after call after. I literally don't block any time out for me. And so like this morning, I should say last night, part of the reason I look so tired today is I was up till 4 a.m. getting my work done, because I had to my mental kid block was supposed to be 8 to 10. We were going to do all these different things. And I had to push it to 10 to midnight. And so I'm like up with the kids till that. I get them to bed and I needed to get my work done. So it's just, I could really benefit from that. And I think it's important for people to know not to feel selfish blocking time out. Just because time looks free in your schedule doesn't mean it's available for a call or for somebody else, where I have a hard time separating that. I'm like, but I'm free. I know it's me stuff, but yeah, I mean, that's really
my assistant knows, and like even my employees and my friends, like I will literally say, like even just today, I have a group text going on with some friends and they are scheduling a time to go walking. And it's like right in the middle of, especially with quarantine right now and like suddenly being a homeschool mom and all this stuff, it's like I only get a small amount of time to get anything done. And my work block is 3 hours. But if my newborn babies need to nurse during those 3 hours, that takes up about an hour when I feed them and then give them a bottle and then change them. But at least my block is big enough that it still gives me some time to get a few things done. If one thing interrupts my day, it doesn't derail my whole schedule. But my friends are wanting to go walking and I had to be like, oh, shoot, that's my working block or my working time. But if you guys ever, want to walk during this time, I'm all about it. Or I rearrange depending on priorities, because of course it's good to see friends too. But the point is, you're right that it's okay to respect time. And my assistant and my employees know that, like, I just don't answer emails. I'm not available until my working block, because I have my morning block, and then I have now a homeschool block and an exercise block where our whole family goes out and exercises and rides bikes. And that's important. If I didn't do it, it'd never get done.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. Love it so much. Okay, so you also have, so tell me then about zones. Zones.
Zones are
what are
awesome.
they? How do you use them with your kids? I have people saying I need to learn more about your zones.
Okay, so those moms that are really just sweet and never raise their voices and are just so patient. Okay, so I'm not that mom, and it's a problem. It leads to a lot of mom guilt. And I kept feeling bad about myself. At the end of the night, I kept just feeling like, why can I just not yell? Like, what is wrong with me? I'm broken. I don't have the patience. I'm just I guess I'm just not as good of a mom as someone who has endless patience and and I realized, I'm like, hold on, I'm just trying to force myself into this box that let's work back. And what's the real pain point? The real pain point is not, I love to yell and I'm looking for opportunities to yell, because I don't, and I am working on it. But the pain point was, I feel frustrated. I feel like my kids aren't listening. I feel frustrated when I have to say the same thing 10 times in a row. I feel frustrated and angsty when my house is a mess because I'm working from home. I'm living from home. I am bound at home right now.
This is your space. Yeah.
Yeah. It's my, it's our temple, and it does not feel like that. And so that's the issue, is not necessarily me yelling. That is a bad consequence and result of this pain point that I'm working on. But let's fix the pain point while I work on my reaction to it. And the pain point was, I didn't feel like I was getting enough help, and I was nagging my kids a lot. So we now, instead of being like, hey, you go pick up the shoes, hey, you dust that table, and it's all this micromanaging, and then they're done with the dusting table and they come to you and you're like, oh, and now we've broken our house into zones. Like, the TV room is a zone, the kitchen is a zone, the mudroom is a zone. And I usually break my kids into pairs, just because we make a lot of messes and it takes a lot of mess. Not always, but, and then they're just assigned to a zone, and I don't have to micromanage. I made a list. It's on a dry erase board that's permanently attached to my wall downstairs, so I wasn't able to bring it up. But but I wrote on the zone what's expected. Put the toys away, vacuum the graham crackers off the couch, even though you weren't supposed to eat on the couch. We all know they're there. All these little things. And then in order for them to we'll be like, okay, family movie night. Anyone whose zones are done, meet us down in the basement at 8:00. Or if someone wants to play on the iPad, I'm like, oh, did you do your zone? And they're like, oh, hold on. And they'll run and go do it. And so it helps a lot, because it's just their space, and they get it for a week, and then we rotate.
I like that, because I feel like you're giving kids the practice of managing something. Whereas right now, the way that I do chores, it's very list based. I just come up with a big list and I'll be like, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. And so they're never really having to figure it out on their own. I also love, I was watching your story the other day. I can't remember exact details, but it was like you guys had just had dinner or something and you had basically just told your kids, figure it out. Like, go figure it out. Go, I don't remember exactly how you said it, but they started working together and saying, okay, this needs to be done. This needs to be done. Now, I love that because you're empowering your kids to take charge and do what needs to get done. Figure out what needs to get done.
Yeah, thanks. I ended up adding those stories to like an IGTV video and put it on my feed because so many people were like, can you repost those? I love the idea. But it came out of necessity. My husband and I, the kids were crazy at dinner. Our kids are good, but they're kids. And there's like literally 100 of them. And so they just, get crazy. And so they were kind of crazy at dinner. And my husband and I, we were just kind of escalating. We were just like getting angrier at them and snapping and just, it wasn't a good environment. And so, and then both twins started getting fussy. And then he and I started getting grumpy at each other. And we were like, okay, pause, hold on. And we were like, obviously, mom and dad are overwhelmed right now, and we were like, you know what? Both the twins are upset and they need us right now. So yeah, dinner, instead of me trying to manage a fussy baby. And we just said, you guys figure it out. You know how to do this. And we didn't even give them the jobs. We just said, you guys are in charge of dinner. Bedtime's at 8. And because we were done early bedtime. And we said, there's a movie they really wanted to watch. And we're like, we'll watch the whole movie or as much as you can fit before 8 o'clock. You guys clean up dinner and let us know when it's done. And immediately, even our 3-year-old was like, I'll sweep the floor. And they started cleaning the chores they wanted. And they did such a good job. And I felt such a weight off my shoulders because I wasn't yelling anymore and I wasn't frustrated. And I feel like kids are way more capable than we give them credit for.
They are. And I think it's important as moms, I've realized the more I'm a micromanager, I'm nothing in the middle. So I will either micromanage the crap out of my kids or I'll just be like, figure it out. And any in between where I'm like, hey, let me guide you through, I end up, okay, just let me, I'll just do it, but it's like, if I actually can get myself to pull away and just let them do it, like the thought of my kids cooking in my kitchen makes me like cringe because I know the mess I'm going to have to clean up. But if I say, okay, Mars, go for it. You make what you want. I can usually leave and come back and it's done. Like it's cleaner than I probably would have done it myself. And they are much more capable. But I think as parents too, we need to remind them of that. Like, because they know if they don't do it, we're going to do it for them many times. And so it's kind of like, hey, no, you can do this. Like, you can do this. You're capable. I've seen you do it before. And you do such a great job of that with your kids.
Thanks. But it's born out of, like, this is what I teach in Productivity Boot Camp, is I don't tell you, I have a really hard time with, I respect them, but I have a hard time with, like, those programs out there that teach organization and stuff. Because it basically shows you, like, here's how to organize a pantry, use this box and put this in it. And I'm like, well, but what if my oatmeal is a different size than your oatmeal? I don't know. I feel like not everyone is cookie cutter. And so my productivity bootcamp it's choose your own adventure, where like we take a pain point and I give you the tools to solve it yourself. And I walk you through that. But like, and so I have to live that every day. That pain point that night was, the kids are being crazy and Bubba and I are frustrated and the twins need me. And so how do we solve this? Or like baking, like, okay, my child wants to bake, but I don't want them to bake because it makes it, to solve that, have them clean up the mess. You can bake anytime you want, as long as I walk in the kitchen and can't tell you baked when I'm done, other than I want the treats. Thank you.
Yes.
Also, with that, you also can't expect perfection out of your kids. We're all a work in progress. I don't expect perfection out of my husband. He's pretty darn good, but I also do things differently than he would do, but it does take some training. And so like last night, Priya, my almost 9-year-old, was doing the dishes, and she's really good at doing the dishes, but once in a while, I'm a micromanager too. It's okay. But I just kind of walked up and was watching her, and I realized, like, okay, I need to retrain her on washing her pots because she's not washing the outside, So I was like, hey, refresh, and then little reminders, or we started out with the basics, and then I made it more advanced. Like, okay, I said, okay, now that you're really good at washing the dishes, let me show you some tricks. Like you can stack the dishes this way in the sink so that the dirtiest ones at the bottom are always getting the water. So by the time you get to them, they're like basically clean, but I wouldn't teach her that first step. I would just teach her to wash a dish, anyway. So it's like,
yeah. Is she cutting out? Yeah. Okay, you're cutting out just a little bit, but I think we can hear you okay. As you're talking, I'm like having flashbacks to me with my 15-year-old son, who usually is in charge of dishes. And if I'm like in an irritable mood, I'll walk up to him and be like, Maddox, like, how many times have you loaded the dishwasher and you still can't load it properly? And I try and make a joke about it, but like,
I know, but I think about that with myself, and I'm like, how many times have I told myself, like, just freaking put your clothes away, Jordan? And yet my closet looks like a bomb went off in it. It's like, we're all human. Yes. We're all human. I know. It's hard. But it does take reminders and refreshers and practice for sure.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so I also want to get into really quickly how you handle screen time and technology. I'm super curious because you seem like you have your kids. You're very productive. Do your kids get screen time? Do you allow them to have technology? I had a friend that had told me, okay, you got to ask her about her special cell phone that she has for her kids. And I'm curious if it's the same thing I do. Tell me your
sure.
Tell me what your philosophy is on screen time.
Yeah, I'm a little bit old school in that, which is really ironic because 100% of the work I do, maybe not 100%, I do live things, but most of the work I do is through a screen, and I believe in screens. I think welcome to 2020, like, God bless it. How cool is all this technology? But I think I'm sensitive to it, and I'll talk kind of quietly because my windows are open. I have a child who is my most responsible kid. Like, you give him like a list of 5 things, and I can just word vomit. He like absorbs all of them and goes and does them, and he does them great. He's just so good. But this child, there's something in his brain that I have noticed that he changes when he's had a lot of exposure to screens. I can literally see it in his eyes, and it like changes his mood and his I don't know. He's different. He's different when he's just been like zoned out on screens all day. And it doesn't matter what it is. In fact, there's this math game at school that's like a video game, but you have to move your guys by like solving math problems. And so it doesn't matter what it is, but we noticed this change. Yeah. And that was kind of, but some of my other kids could be on screens for like 8 hours straight and they're totally fine. But it made me realize like that every child responds to it differently. And so to each his own. You have to decide what's best for your parents. Or best for you as parents, best for your kids. But I don't know. I became really sensitive to it when even as a young kid, I noticed this change in him. And then I just realized like there are so many opportunities for things that I want to teach my kids that I don't need a screen for. Like, I love that you were teaching your kids about baking and doing the dishes. But anyway, so I don't know. I am one that I err on the side of like very little screens, but we still use them. We do we watch a movie together every night as a family, not the whole thing, but we'll watch something. I've got a YouTube channel. My kids love watching themselves on YouTube, but we're very selective about it. And what we've learned is we can't keep them away from screens forever. And screens are not bad. There's opposition in all things. They can be a hindrance. They can't be really helpful. So we just try to find the balance of making them earn it, like it's something special, or that we have them do things before it gets to that point. Like, have you exercised? Have you read an actual book? Have you done your schoolwork? Have you helped around the house? So that then when they do screens, it's like they've earned it. The special phone is, we just discovered it recently. It's called Gab. And I think I had a discount at one point. I think it's still active. I will make sure it's active and we'll share it with you guys. But it's cool. It looks like a smartphone because kids don't want to walk around with a flip phone.
No.
Wait, what? Oh my gosh, my husband is talking to me on a baby monitor. What? The code page 20 is still active if you are interested in the Gab phone. It's okay, my baby monitor.
Can we post it so people can see it?
I don't know. It's no I. It's like page like a book page. Anyway,
Okay.
But we love it. We're obsessed with it because I left my son at a city park for an hour and a half one night, pitch black, when he was 8, because I thought there was baseball practice, dropped him off, shooed him out of the car, and ran away because I saw baseball players playing. It wasn't his team. Practice had been canceled. He was alone at this city park for an hour and a half, crying, cold, so scared, sketchy little park. And when finally some stranger came up and asked him, "Are you okay?" And it was some man. And so I'm glad my son didn't run away, though he probably should have. That's a whole nother story. Anyway, he called me and was like, "Your kid is here." And I vowed that day, I will never send my kids somewhere where they can't communicate with me directly. But I don't want them to just have the internet on them all the time. So
you don't have unfiltered access to everything that's out there. And I swear, the more you say, I feel like you and I are so aligned. But it is there is a compromise you have to make, because it is especially now with their online school and the different classes they're required to do. But I, like you, I have one child. The other 3, at least 2 of them, could really care less about screen time or about what is going on with their friends or their phones or whatever. And even if they do, if they're on or they're playing a game, they can shut it off like that. I can say, "Hey, time to turn." Okay. Whereas one of my kids, he becomes a different human. Yeah. And it's on his brain the whole time. And I can feel it throughout the week. And he's just, he's in there. I feel like it destroys his mind. And we've gone through times where I've been like, "Okay, we're locking this iPad up. I don't want you having it because you are so different." But of course there is compromise, because there's, we're in technology, and my husband
you can't avoid it.
Yeah, he's a big believer in and it is true, teaching them how to do it. So it's trying to make a balance to where they're not being left behind. But for me, I would get rid of it altogether if I could.
It's true, because what happens when then they go off to college and they've never had exposure to screens? They have to learn to self-regulate. They have to learn the dangers of and benefits of technology. And that's why we just feel like line upon line, step by step, you got to give kids what they can handle. And, that. So this Gab phone, it wouldn't work for everybody because there's no apps, no internet. You can take pictures, but you can't send or receive pictures. It's basically calculated calling and texting. So for my kids, that's perfect. It's what they need. It's a trainer phone. It trains them to take care of it. It trains them, even with texting, my kids are not allowed to text while they're in the car with us. I'm like, dude, talk to your mother. Tell me how your day was. Get off your phone, And so they're not allowed to text when they're in a car. And, they're it plugs in at night in the family charging station that we have, and they don't get the phones in their room, and little things like that then I feel like it's training them and giving them opportunities to make mistakes and learn, so that when it does come time for them to get a smartphone and social media and all of those things that are inevitable, and just fine, I'm on social media every day, then I feel like maybe I've given them the tools. You wouldn't jump into a marathon before even walking around the block twice. So you just have to get there the right way. So with screens, I feel like there's nothing wrong with screens, or as long as you feel like they're age appropriate, of course, but set a timer, you regulate the time, don't let it be free reign willy-nilly, and then have them do things like clipboards and chore charts and block time. And if their chores aren't done and the block of time is done, sorry, maybe tomorrow.
Okay. What you just showed us, that's something, are they those free downloads that we have a link for? I think we're going to send them.
Clipboards. Yes, I think I'm seeing, we have so many resources on my blog, funcheaperfree.com, but this is just an example of my son. It's a little,
it's clear on our.
It's not different now. I was going to say it's different now that we're homeschooling, but no, it's really not. But we have these daily clipboards, you guys, and this isn't just for little kids. I have a lot of people that tune out when they're like, well, I have a 16-year-old. Oh my gosh, you need this more than anyone. Are you kidding? You want your phone, you want your car keys, you want your iPad, you want a night out with friends. What have you done to earn that? Those are all privileges. So,
amen.
Yeah.
Amen. I love that.
You make these are the norms, you know, with our kids don't get paid for the norms. We don't give allowance for like making your bed.
Nope, neither
So those are norms, and they have to complete their norms before they can have friends or screens, or, you know, sometimes we'll throw on privileges or whatever. Hi Sally, I did laminate it. This is laminated. And so every day they just do dry erase, or better yet is wet erase. Because if my kids are like, oh, oops, I erased it, but I did it all, I promise.
You know better. You can see right through it. Okay, so all of these things, we'll make sure for everybody watching, obviously in fact, maybe there's so much more I could ask you right now. The one quick thing I want to ask before we get it, guys, we'll give all the resources to you, so don't even worry. I want to know your quick definition of what balance is, because you have so much going on. What is balance to you?
Okay, the best way I can describe balance is that old circus act of spinning glass plates on wobbly poles. Have you seen that? They're like long wobbly poles, and this guy like he's spinning the plates and keeping them from falling. That is balance. They're not all spinning at the same time in the exact same way. They don't all stop and start at the same time. It's one. You start with one thing and you focus on it and you get it going. And you're like, okay, now I'm going to go work on this one. And then after a while, you add more plates, and then one of them starts wobbling. So you run over to the wobbly one and you focus on it for a minute and spin it. And then that's good. And that is balance. I don't think balance is perfectly having everything all the same all the time. It's, they got to wait their turn, you know? So to me, balance is like, today is a heavy work day for me. I have a video due. I've got a sponsorship thing. I have all these emails to respond to. I'm doing this interview. So today I'm spinning my work plate, and that's just what needs to happen. But tomorrow I'm doing that so that tomorrow is like a family day. And I just don't plan on working tomorrow. And I plan on like being with my kids, or maybe I, you know, focus really hard on schoolwork at the beginning of the week with my kids and really being on them. And then I'm like, you guys need to handle this for a couple days. And then at the end of the week, I'm there helping them catch back up. And that's balance to me, is spinning the plates and not feeling the pressure of having everything perfect all the time, because that's impossible.
I love that. I love your definition of balance. Obviously, it's relative and very different for everybody. And I think there's pieces of that I think everyone here can and should take. And I mean, there's pieces of so much that you said today that I think everyone should at least try out. You don't know if something works until you try it. And that's what I've learned. It's hard to commit to something, but if you kind of just look at all these different tools and resources and even choosing one, like I'm a big proponent, and there's so many different things that I printed of yours, and they're so great and they're all there. My advice, you know, or what I want to do is I want to pick one thing and I want to try it out for a week. And then I want to add another thing, because I feel like for me, that's what creates lasting change. And I'm just looking at everything you have thinking, Kay, if I can get to a point where I'm implementing all of this, it would help me big time in my life. And I absolutely love it. I appreciate you. And how can everybody here connect with you?
First of all, if you're going to do anything, just start with a block schedule. That's it. If you do nothing else, if you learn nothing else from me, start a block schedule. That'll change your life. But follow me, start on Instagram. I'm at Jordan Page on Instagram, no I in Page. And that is in my profile. I have links to my different websites and businesses and resources. I'm really interactive on there. I show a lot of behind the scenes. My highlight bubbles have a lot of stuff. So that's a good place to go, I would say. Yeah.
Awesome. And then I know you have something with a discount code for the people watching, right? Can you tell us what it is?
Yes. So for anyone who wants more handholding, I used to do one-on-one consulting and that got too busy. So instead I built a program that would be as if I was coaching you one-on-one, walking you through your pain points for productivity or your budget, your actual numbers. And those are my two programs, Budget Bootcamp and Productivity Bootcamp. And if you use the code LIVE15, you can get 15% off either one, or we have a bundle that's already discounted and you can get 15% off the bundle price on that. Funcheaperfree.com/bootcamps is where you find those.
Cool. And I just realized my team is amazing. And there's a little banner at the bottom that says, get Jordan's budget and productivity boot camps.
What? It's even flashing. On it.
I think you can actually click it right there. So anyway, guys, do that. And then know that we're also going to be sending out an email with all of these links, a replay to the episode. I want to highly encourage you guys, share something you learned. Share 5 things you learned because there's so much here. Share it on social media. Tag Jordan, tag me. Hashtag live with Heidi. I will be choosing somebody, actually a couple people that will get my Secrets of Goal Setting course for free. Jordan, I am so glad. I actually had a lot more questions for you. I actually feel like I need to have you come move in with me for a month.
Oh, you teach me how to get my posture back, Heidi, and how to do the booty pop. I need a booty. Okay. Get me a booty, and I'll get you whatever you need on your productivity.
Okay, that sounds like a fair trade to me. I can teach you the booty pop. You teach me how to run my life.
Done. My husband will appreciate. He thinks I'm beautiful anyway, but let me tell you what, my booty was very different when we got married than it is now 8 kids later. So from all of us in the Page household, we would appreciate that. Yeah.
Well, Jordan, thank you so much for being on. And to everybody that stuck with us through this, thank you so much. I know it was so helpful. So amazing. Guys, reminder that every Wednesday at noon, I will be doing these live. You will be getting an email with playback links. We'll be posting them on social media, YouTube, etc. Love you guys tons. Thank you for joining me for this week's Live with Heidi and Jordan. All right. Bye, guys.